like, has the world ever been more chaotic in our lifetime? Do we think it's going to get better?
No.
We've been accelerating, and actually the data backs us up. So if folks go out there and if you search the World Uncertainty Index, and right now is the highest time since they've started tracking this. And so we're even higher than March 2020, which was like the peak of the pandemic.
Welcome to the Empowering Industry Podcast, a production from Empowering Pumps and Equipment as the voice of the pump and related equipment industries. Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Empowering Industry Podcast. I'm your host, Charli Matthews Caruth, and I am here with my coach, Rob Kalwarowsky, and speaker and author, and amazing, amazing work that he's doing out there. And so I'm excited to have him back on the mic. I know y'all know him, but Rob, jump on here and introduce yourself.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure to be here, Charlie. Of course, for folks out there, I'm a former reliability engineer turned executive coach and now the author of Capitalizing on Chaos. And so it's always fun to chop it up with you, Charlie. You're one of my rock stars, and I always love it being here with you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. And yeah, capitalizing on chaos. I was just thinking about that and thinking, oh, the world of chaos. We make our own chaos sometimes, which you mentioned in the book. The world seems to be in chaos all around us. And so how do we navigate that? And so I thought, well, let me ask Rob. He wrote the book. Let's talk through that and see just, where do you start when you're kind of feeling this anxiety, right? Or you need to make a shift or a move, and it does. It feels like chaos. Where do you take your clients kind of first?
I mean, this is like, has the world ever been more chaotic in our lifetime?
Not that I know of.
And like, do we think it's going to get better?
No.
Like, it feels like we've been accelerating, and actually the data backs us up. So if folks go out there and if you search the World Uncertainty Index, there's actually a statistic out there that tracks the number of times government documents around the world use the word uncertain, uncertainty, chaos. They're all kind of similar. And right now is the highest time since they've started tracking this. And so we're even higher than March 2020, which was like the peak of the pandemic. And we're up almost 300% since the fall of 2024. And like, this stat takes a while to update. So like, pre the things that have been happening geopolitically, I can only imagine it's going to be incredibly higher now than it was even a few months ago. And so where I want to start with everyone is exactly what you're mentioning, Charlie, is we all feel this internally, a lack of peace, a lack of tranquility. Maybe it's a little stress, maybe it's a little anxiety. And when that stress activates, we get what's known as an amygdala hijack. And this is really just basically it's the fight flight response, but there's also two other ones. It's freeze and fawn are the other two. Freeze just means basically you freeze. Fawn actually means you suck up to people in power or you people please. That's all that your brain can do when you're under this element of fear and stress. And so that makes you a bad leader for yourself, for others. It means you can't make good decisions in terms of problem solving. Means you can't make emotional regulation. It means you can't be creative. It means you can't think well, right? We all know how this feels. You feel that constriction, that tightening. Maybe you get angry, maybe you get mad, maybe you say something you shouldn't, like, or you don't tackle a problem that you should. We've all been there. My first step for this, the fastest, quickest way is when you feel that feeling of stress, is just take a deep breath, let out a big sigh, and just say, I'm human, and acknowledge it to yourself. because you felt it, I felt it, everyone out there has felt it. It's normal, it's human, we've all been there.
It's a
When
good
we get
point
into,
because if you
yeah,
don't accept that that is happening, then you're kind of in this denial world, and there's nowhere to go forward if you can't accept it first.
and acknowledging your feelings actually reduces how you feel. So this is neuroscience, right? And I think for people out there, like this is an unprecedented time. Like we've never had the geopolitical levels that we have at the speed that we're having. We've never had AI and technology change at the rate it's changing. Our economy, uh, that's all I'll say on that, right? The levels of chaos have never been in this way. And it's because the systems that we generally trusted and relied upon are starting to crumble before our eyes. That makes this work more important than ever to do today.
Okay, so we acknowledge our feelings. This is chaotic. We still are in charge. We still have to lead a team. So, we're taking our deep breaths. We're doing maybe yoga on the side. We're, making decisions to move our company forward. Within that, how do you get your team to also buy into that, right? Because you can be doing the work, but if you're not able to lead them into that, and maybe they think it's woo-woo or whatever, they're not paying attention, they're too busy, I don't have time for that, whatever that case is, what is some things that you can do to kind of get them on board?
Ultimately, this is about being and creating a safe working environment, right? Because we can't control what's going on in the world. And it starts with us. It starts with us internally doing the work. And that's where, these six different types of destructive leaders, we all have all six of them inside of us. And probably we use, two to three of them activate frequently for us. Like I'll give you context when I'm in a place where I feel like I don't have control or I'm not or I'm watching a game on TV and the ref makes a bad call, I become an abusive narcissist. Right? Or I get cut off in traffic, right? I yell at the TV, I yell at people in traffic, right? When it's time to do my taxes, I become a ghost manager. My accountant, every year he emails me on October 1st and he goes, Rob, do you want to do business taxes with me again? And I'm always like, yep, I'll get it to you. And then I don't do anything. And like literally it takes me maybe 15 minutes to get the stuff together and send it to him and then it's done. But I avoid it because I hate doing it. Right. It's totally normal. We all do this. Right. But it's starting to understand where are the moments and what are the things that trigger you into these different types. And then it's starting to become curious and leaning in to sort of let those protection mechanisms step aside because they're trying to help you. And that's the only way to get to this place of self leadership. And then when you're leading from self, that's when you can create environments where people feel psychologically safe, they build trust, and then that ultimately builds employee engagement, which gets you better results, and all the good things happen from there.
So you mentioned curious, and it made me think about when you're noticing somebody on your team who maybe isn't handling it the best. Maybe they have jumped into one of those six, or they are maybe even coming to you for help, and you can tell that their state they're not even going to be able to receive what you are giving them. So with that, and having a team member that is kind of struggling, how do you reach out to them?
So the I'm human tool, I use it internally for myself, just like when I'm at home by myself. You can use it in teams. With you, Charlie, like we could jump on this call and you could see my face is all red and I'm like, bleep that out. And then you're like, hey, Rob, you're human, right? And then that gives me this moment of like, oh, I'm not doing great. I need a moment. And then the next question you could say is, hey, Rob, like, do you need some time or what do you need from me? Right. The inverse can also happen, right? Is like, you can jump on this call, I can have the red face and I can say, hey, Charli, I'm human. And that's a signal to you that, like, hey, I need something in this moment. It doesn't mean the work or the project or whatever goes away. It just may change that next 5 minutes of, like, hey, maybe I just need to go to the get a coffee or get a water or take 5 minutes, or maybe I need you to listen to my problems, whatever those are. Right.
Well, isn't it so you've got to know the people on your team, especially the ones closest to you, the ones that are looking to you for leadership. You have to know them so that you can see those things, right? Be able to tell when they're off. One of the best things that I ever implemented was that weekly meeting. It was at the same time every week with my key leaders, and I knew when something wasn't right. And that I still recommend that for everyone. A lot of transition here at my company, and I still think, still think I'm a good leader, even though you have to make hard decisions and things change and move. Um, Being able to read people and team members, I think is one of the most important parts of being a leader.
100%. When you're Nobody said being a leader is easy. Nobody also said that being a leader means everyone's going to be happy at all times, right? Actually, a lot of folks say being a leader is being able to disappoint people, or say no to things, right? But like, what actually builds employee engagement? It's having a caring manager, giving people a purpose and meaning to their role, creating basically a place where they can grow. So this includes like stretch projects, focusing on the person's strengths, developing them on their career path and giving them feedback. Those are things that everyone can do. And now, in order to do that, you cannot be in the stress response. You cannot be in fight and flight. I can't pretend that I care about Charli if I'm really mad about losing my client, right? Now, if I'm grounded and I'm in my own inner peace, then I can show I care. I can give feedback that doesn't come across as Rob's being an asshole,
Yeah,
right?
I thought about this. What actually going through the coaching program, sometimes you would have back-to-back meetings or something, you're rushing from one meeting to the next. And then to be able to listen, especially on the coaching side, right? To be grounded and ready to go to listen to somebody. You can't be in that kind of rushed, frantic, because people can see it and realize it. And they don't feel like they can trust you in that moment to handle whatever you're about to lay down, right? And so I think that's really important. I wanted to also just talk about when when you see someone, so we were talking about they came to you, there's a problem, and that being able to say directly what the problem is, that's not easy, especially I must be that people pleasing one, some of the time. It's one of the hardest things for me. But I think that it's necessary as a leader to have those hard conversations, right? And getting in the right state to do that. It's not necessarily a mellow, chill state necessarily, right? But it is kind of you've got to be ready to have that conversation. So how do you prepare for those hard conversations?
Most people, right, there's a part of you that overanalyzes it, that thinks about all the ways that it can go wrong. Often it never goes that way, right? Often what it is having the courage to say the thing that you need to say. And often the other person already knows, right? Because we wait too long to have these conversations. The thing is this is if you show you care about somebody, then giving them feedback is easier. I had lots of coaches growing up that I knew, like, they said some crazy stuff to me, but it's like I knew they cared about me becoming better, so it was fine. Of course, there were other ones that I didn't know that they cared and it came across in a different way, right? But it's like if you've built this foundation of trust and care, it's not there are no perfect words. And actually I kind of been soliciting some client feedback lately, and one of my clients said this perfect thing to me. He's a CEO of a small manufacturing company of like 50 people. And he said to me is you need to make a safe culture, and there's no book that's going to teach you every step on how to do that. You have to get rid of the inner demons to be able to do that. And that's the difference between, oh, I have an open door policy and people actually telling you what's really going on in your business.
Yeah, because yeah, if you're not able to lead yourself, people can tell it and they're not going to trust you to do that. That's so true. I want to switch gears just a little bit. I was thinking about you as an entrepreneur going forward and how you are kind of getting your name out there in these different areas and kind of went back to your roots in the book. I got to see you not too long ago in California at MIT get together. Um, how did that all come together where you kind of went back to the Rob from MIT and your network? Tell us about that.
Yeah. So, a big strategy for folks out here is they call them weak connections. And there's a lot of research around how weak connections can help you in moments where you need help. So, like, let's say you get laid off. Yeah, if you get laid off, you got to do the hardest thing that you can ever do is tell people you got laid off. Right? But weak connections are very strong and helping you. And so this is where the network grows. And so for me, when the book was coming out, I was traveling around the country. I had a couple of conferences booked. And so I was like, well, why don't I maximize my time and see if I can get the message out about my book and capitalizing on chaos and the inner work and all this stuff. And that's where I started booking events to go speak at the MIT alumni clubs. And so they were just avenues to get in front of more high level folks that could potentially become my clients. And like some of them did, some of them didn't. It's all good. But it's like ultimately, like when you're thinking about what goal you want to achieve, think about who are the people that you need to get in front of or ask help from, because that's how things are going to happen. Nobody ever becomes successful by their own without any support from anyone else.
Yeah, that's great advice. And I've seen it. I've watched you. And for y'all that don't know Rob very well, he's like a master connector. He meets somebody and he connects them to the next person that you need to know. And so I love doing that too. And it's really
You're
wonderful to
one too,
see.
Charli.
Yeah, yeah. I'll give myself a little pat on the back. I do that too. But it's a gift for one to see those connections, but also it's intentional. You have to kind of make that happen and set a time to do that type of work. And so, if anybody is thinking about, you know, in their companies chaos and how can I kind of help my team navigate this and all the disruption and everything, and you can kind of feel that within your organization. Give Rob a call. He's got several different levels of coaching, but also the book, right? So I've got the book here. It's the Phoenix I love. I have a really great art piece that goes with that well. But the capitalizing piece of that, everybody is in the same environment. So that piece of getting kind of ahead through this, um, why that piece of the book?
89% of people are going to be stuck in chaos. And given that chaos is only going to be increasing, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity to achieve your goals. If you don't act, you will miss out on this opportunity that can take your career to the next level. You could start your own business, you could grow that business, you could move to Costa Rica, you could do whatever you want to do, right? But it's like this is a moment in time which we've never had before and we may never get again. And so if you're out there, if you go to robkalwarowsky.com/reason, you can download a tool that will help you on the first steps to getting moving. Because often what happens in these moments is We feel like we know what we want to do. We feel like we should get moving, but we don't actually take action. And the reason we don't is we have the status quo bias. And that's why every one of you out there, you will know at least one person, if not more, who doesn't like their job. And you go, are you applying for new jobs? And they say no. And that might even be you, right? But this tool is specifically designed so that you get moving, whatever your goal is. So go there, get the free tool, and then reach out afterwards, and we'll get rolling.
Yeah, that's the thing. The act, it just jumped off when you were talking because if you're stuck, you can't act, you can't move forward. Yeah, you're not going to accomplish the dreams. And I Googled how to become a leader right before I met with Rob and his team, and it was really a great. I think it was like 2019 or something when we started, and so it's the longtime friend, and I just love to see what you're doing now. And I can't let you go without a little rapid fire. I haven't done it in a while, and it's just going to be fun. So, Rob, what's your favorite book? Is it yours?
I can't plug my own book. My favorite book is No Bad Parts by Dr. Richard Schwartz. He's the inventor of internal family systems. He actually endorsed my book. But that work has been instrumental in my own healing, my own journey, and then also the work I do with folks now.
Absolutely, for sure. Music. You got any more fun music since you've been down in Costa Rica?
So my favorite band right now, Sleep Token. I think they're a British band. Nobody's really sure what the people actually their names are. Um, but
Fun.
it's pretty cool. Yeah.
Okay, okay, okay. What's the best advice you've ever received?
The best advice I've ever received was ask for help. Um, I was told once by my therapist, she's like, you put on a face that everything's going great. And people think that everything is like super great for you. And she's like, start like being more open with that. And I mean, one is that it's been helpful on my healing journey, but also it's been helpful on a business front is like saying to people like, I'm trying to do more keynotes. I'm trying to get more clients. I'm trying to do more work. I'm trying to get out there and broaden my horizons. And I think for everyone out there, take that advice is like we're taught often to just kind of hold it together and put on the brave face and it's like actually if you strategically ask for help to people who can help you, they will help you and good things will happen. And so that's just a great piece of advice that you can use.
Yeah, asking for help is brave and courageous and all the things because it is not easy to do. All right, your turn. Your turn. What advice do you want to give people?
Take action. I see this so much is taking action requires courage and it requires you to look in the mirror and go, I need to do something better. But everybody listening, you all have some sort of continuous improvement team. You have, reliability and maintenance team. Like this is what you do for work. And so turn that lens on yourself. And it's going to feel weird at the first time, but if you don't take action, no one else is.
I love it. Well, I could talk to you all day, which you know, so I won't make everybody else do that. But y'all share the episode. Y'all reach out to Rob. He's definitely changed my life and that of many people that I know. So I hope that you get a chance to spend 15 minutes with him, if nothing else. But I hope you've enjoyed the show. And until next time, be empowering.